So I'm Angus Jennings. I'm the town manager, and I want to first thank everybody for the interest that they've shown in the playground, both parents with the school here in the community, and of course you, the prospective vendors. We recognize a lot of time and effort goes into these proposals, and we really appreciate the efforts that you made and that you're here with us today. We did receive three what appear to be very well qualified designers to assist us with the design and installation of the new playground. So today we have OBrien and Sons. They'll be presenting a sample design that we'll use to determine the selection of which designer we think is the best match for our project. The design that's being presented today would be a starting point to assist us in once the designer is selected, to work with them over the subsequent couple of weeks with more community input. So we would start with today's design as the starting point or working draft, fine tune the details once the vendor selected, and then the design would be finalized and go forward from there. So you can take your time with the presentation. We've got an hour set aside for this meeting, which should leave us a good 30 minutes at the end for Q&A. If anyone from the public, either participating today or watching this later on the town YouTube channel, has any comments or suggestions, you could submit to the Playground Designer Selection Working Group. You could contact our town clerk, Mike McCarron, or DPW Director Wayne Amaral on or before May 28th. And their phone numbers and email addresses are both listed right on the homepage. We have a announcement on the playground selection process, so you could find their contact information there. So with that, I'll turn it over to Colin and his team from OBrien and Sons.
Perfect. Thank you, Principal Jennings and Wayne and everybody listening for having us on and considering us as the vendor for your new project. This is a pretty extensive project and a pretty exciting project at that. I have also invited Megan O'Brien, who is the president of OBrien and Sons. She's going to touch upon the history of our company and how deep our roots run throughout New England and different schools and different situations and different scopes of projects as well. So without further ado, I'll introduce Megan and we can start the actual presentation.
And just a quick clarification, Colin. So Dustin Gray, who's also on the call, is the Page School principal. I'm okay. The town. So.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, not at all. Just wanted to clear that up. So I didn't want Dustin to think I was trying to usurp his authority. He does his job. I do mine.
Perfect.
Well, thank you all for allowing us to present. We really appreciate the opportunity. Again, my name is Megan O'Brien. I'm the president of OBrien and Sons. We have been in business since 1929. We are in our third generation of family ownership. And we are a women business enterprise business registered in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and we have been for about 15 years. We have 20 employees, which makes us I think the largest and oldest of our kind in New England. We represent the 6 New England states, and we're located in Medway, Massachusetts. But of course, we have a couple of remote offices in Maine and Connecticut. We have in-house design capability. We have our own in-house designer, and what that means to our clients is that we are extremely responsive. We are not relying upon our manufacturer and their design team to funnel our designs back through what could be a very large queue of design changes for projects that happen all over North America or the country. So we have our own in-house designer. It really helps us to be able to be responsive, allows us to have great correspondence and communication with our clients about exactly what they want. We do not do a lot of cookie cutter designs that are repeat. We focus on unique designs that meet the vision of our clients. So every single project that we do is very different from the next. It is very much a unique experience for each client. All of our salespeople are consumer product safety inspectors. We have a lot of experience and knowledge on playground safety, and we take it very seriously as well. So since we've been in business for so very long, we have really been able to curate our the manufacturers that we represent and have exclusivity for. And of course, one of those is Landscape Structures. We have represented Landscape Structures since 1983, and we have an amazing relationship with them. And the environment of Landscape Structures is very much a family that extends to all of their rep networks. And we have their company, Landscape Structures, which has been in business. They just celebrated their 50th year in business this past spring. They are an employee-owned company. So right here, this picture that you're seeing is not only all of the people who work at Landscape Structures, but they are all owners. And what that really means to our clients and what that really means to O'Brien and Sons and the products that we are selling to our clients all over the 6 New England states is that everyone from the welder to the person putting together the hardware kit to the person who is in advertising and marketing, they all have a stake in this company. Being Minnesota made and really being United States made is very important to us. We do not import anything from outside North America. And it is really one of the last, if not the last, independently owned business, a playground manufacturer in the industry. Most of them are sort of owned by, you know, sorry, I'm trying to find the word, but they're owned by a conglomerate company that owns multiple playground manufacturers. So when they think about selling playgrounds, they don't talk about playgrounds, they talk about pounds of steel and pounds of plastic. And it's really not our culture. Our culture is to really focus on great designs, longevity of designs. We developed the concept, our creator, Steve King, created the concept of continuous play in his thesis for his graduate school. And that is the normal playground that you see nowadays. And it was taking the old school slide and the old school spinner and really mirroring it up into what you see for play structures today. That was really the foundation of our design. Could you go back one? Colin, we are the leader in inclusive play. We pride ourselves. If there are 3 things that are great takeaways from this presentation and what Landscape Structures is all about, is that number 1, we invest in innovative, creative products and innovation. That is very important to us. There's a lot of products that we come out with that are copied by others. Our number 2, our design knowledge and expertise is something we definitely pride ourselves on. We do a lot of research and development, which is number 3. We like to be the expert in the industry, and we work with a lot of childhood experts and how kids play and how they interact with the environment and each other, and opportunities for socialization and all sorts of things that really go into coming up with great designs and great products. All right, and then culture of continuous improvement. What Landscape Structures had invested in about 15 years ago was the Kaizen lean process. So we have the ability to manufacture a playground in about 10 days. And we have not, because we run very lean, and we have this, and when I say lean, it's not just materials, but it's the steps of everything going in between to get through the manufacturing process. So our factory is very clean, it's very safe, It doesn't have a lot of stuff laying around. It is a pretty beautiful place if you like factories. It is pretty amazing process. And to this day, we are still right through COVID and beyond. We are right on top of our lead times. We are not running long. We are getting our playgrounds out about 4 weeks beyond a sale of a playground. So, Landscape Structures has a high culture of sustainability. It's a very important part of Landscape Structures. They like to honor the environment. They like to think about their carbon footprint. They like to produce, the industry's highest quality playgrounds with the least amount of waste. It is part of their culture. They're thinking about it all the time, whether it's dumpster dives or whether it's how we can take the shavings of a product and we can recycle them, and how we can actually take waste and actually make a new product with it. And that's what we do with a bench called the Kaleidoscope bench. Those are pieces cut out from making other pieces, and we're making a bench out of those so that they do not go into landfills. And then this is a little bit more, we could talk about all of these features forever, but we're not going to do that. You can read this on your own or look at it later, but we have a lot of pride in our equipment. We value longevity. The playgrounds that we put in, so I've been around since 1998. So I've had a pretty good longevity of selling playgrounds, Landscape Structures playgrounds in New England. And I can tell you that I've always been able to support parts for any one of our playgrounds ever, whether it was from 1990 or beyond. And that is one of the best things about Landscape Structures, is they do not forget about you, the buyer that bought something in 1996. I have renovated playgrounds many times that are 18, 20 years old. We've thrown a few new components on there. We've gotten rid of some things that were vandalized, maybe things that were a little outdated. We've added new components right to it. We've always supported our parts, and those playgrounds look brand new. I've had people go and look at them, prospective buyers go and look at them, and they are like, I can't believe that's a playground that is 22 years old. It looks brand new. And our hardware is stainless steel. We're doing all the right things. Our Pro Shield powder coat is phenomenal. It's amazing with harsh weather like we have in New England, with coastal conditions like we have in New England. It is the best we can possibly make. It is the best we know of. And that slide footer there, for instance, that is a channel that is built into the slide so that you're never, because plastic expands and contracts, it never pulls on the deck and takes the deck off plumb or level. So it is actually this tiny mechanism that allows the slide to expand and contract. Even if it's a millimeter, it is making a difference. And those are the types of things that we do on every single piece. We have continuous improvement in our products all the time. And we could go through every single one of these as far as how innovative we are with our products. And a lot of copiers, there's a lot of manufacturers out there that really copy exactly what we do, because we've never changed our system. It's always been this exact post and deck system that with these clamps that we've never changed up because they work great. So that's that. And here's some recycled materials. The material in the top right and the top left, that is the same material. It's called permaline. 73% of that material is post-consumer recycled plastic. So the entire black inner core is fully recycled material from your plastic bottles, your whisk, your Tide bottles, all mixed together. And then of course we use our glass fiber reinforced concrete, which is the bottom left. That could be a very wasteful material, but we are recycling our water. We're very careful about how we manufacture and recycling and providing the least carbon footprint. And then of course our recycled plastic wood planks are on the bottom right, which is about 98% post-consumer recycled plastic. And then I'll let Colin go from here.
All right, so as Megan stated, LSI has been in the business quite a long time. They lead in the ingenuity as far as where playgrounds can start and where they can go and what they can become. So here's a good example. This was a design that was literally sketched up by an architect, put through LSI. This is what their designers came up with. This is a 3D render of that park, completing all those features. And then this is the completed park. So there really is no boundary for the complexity that these can take on and the customization that these can take on. This is a park that we did in New Bedford. This is Noah's Playground. This is a very inclusive park. You'll notice that it has a lot of similarities to things that we did for the Page School proposal as well. Things like the full poured in place rubber surfacing that really pushes the level of inclusivity where anybody can go anywhere. And you know, I've dealt with various clients that will sometimes do engineered wood fibers with pathways made out of this surfacing, and that can be somewhat problematic as far as getting from one location to any other location, whereas the poured in place that we're proposing here and that we did in Noah's Playground really allows that expansive travel. Anybody, no matter their condition, no matter if they are wheelchair bound or with a walking device of any kind, can literally get to any part of this playground. Again, another example was Yentl Farms Playground. This is more so going to be for the design aspects and the quality of LSI. We do a lot of those elements out of the concrete, as Megan had stated, like the large log, and then we have a lot of the recycled materials and the permaline panels that really all start to come together and can really be put together in an infinite number of ways. This was the site plan that we originally proposed. I know, Wayne, you guys had posted this online for everybody to take a look at. The red dots are going to kind of give you that idea of the safety zones that are necessary with these. Usually it's about 6 feet, and you want to make sure that we have the proper surfacing below those individual features as far as the fall heights are concerned, to keep all of the kids, you know, as safe as possible. When I was a kid, I'm pretty sure it was just rocks and you know, or concrete or asphalt or, you know, something along those lines. But, you know, nowadays we take a lot more care as far as the surfacing and the, you know, the impact that it would have on a young kid falling from, you know, a 6 foot fall or an 8 foot fall. You know, we do as much to protect them as possible. That being said, we also have, like I said, the red dotted lines. Those are going to be your safety zones for each individual feature. You want to make sure that those don't overlap at any great amount. That way, while kids are utilizing certain features, they're not going to be in danger of, you know, knocking into another feature, you know, or 2 swings, you know, colliding or anything along those lines. It's a pretty big surface here that we're covering, you know, 90 foot by 100 foot square. So here we can see it. This is a color representation. This is perspective A, so just one of the angles that we're showing, where you can see a lot of those features that we have on Noah's Playground we're utilizing here with the Page School design. A lot of fun, inclusive elements here, you know, as far as like the WeGo swing and, you know, a lot of the sensory panels and the way that LSI designs these features and the colors that we're allowed to choose from, or that you're allowed to choose from, are going to be very complementary colors, and they take on a whole level of research for their colors that go beyond almost anybody and anything you can imagine, because about 1% of inclusivity and disability on a playground is actually a physical disability. There are so many other things that kids are going through, whether it's emotional or physical or like anyone that is autistic or anything, any child dealing with something like that, colors can be things that trigger certain emotions. And so they do a lot of research and have an entire department that is solely for putting these colors together to minimize those situations from the playground having any cause into those situations at all. So this is going to be the opposite side, perspective B, get a little bit better idea of the features, and I'll go into those individual features a little bit more one by one shortly. But you can see we've got the zip cruise and the cozy dome. We've got some musical elements that we put in here, and we've also put some shade as well. Try and get some of that sun off those kids as they're running through.
A lot of times too, we provide shade because there are sensitivities that children have because they're taking medication. You've all seen on a medication bottle, where you have to stay out of the sun. And so that can be very difficult for a child who has sensory processing or other disabilities, where it's really like their lifestyle. It's not just while I'm taking this medicine for the next 10 days, it's my life. And children actually also have, some children have issues with overheating and their body does not regulate their temperature. So having those shade opportunities are really necessary. And this type of fabric specifically is meant to block out UV rays and make the area cooler underneath.
Exactly. And as I was saying, as far as the color palettes are concerned and the research that went into those, this is just another version of one of those color palettes. There's 50 full color palettes that have been done. There's over 100 different colors that you could choose to do based on your school colors or town colors or anything to that effect. But they do have these research color palettes that go together, and we could certainly go over those at the proper time. But again, just to give you another view of what that playground could look like, and the surface, again, could be various colors as well. So one of the main things that we did with this design is we listened to the kids. You guys submitted some great drawings and some great write-ups from these kids as to the things that they wanted to see and the things that they were missing out on, or they felt they were missing out on. And it was very humbling to see how many really included the inclusivity part of it in their descriptions, and wanting kids that are wheelchair bound to be able to access the same slides and the same things that they are. And that was really, really impressive for the kids to be thinking at that level at this age. But things they wanted to slide and climb, they wanted to zip and swing, but most of all, they really all wanted to play together. And that's really where this design comes through. With the Page School design that we put together, is it's going to give them the ability to do almost all of the things that they asked for, to the best and well put together that we could come up with. So here I'm going to break down a couple of the different elements that we put in and give you kind of a little bit of background as to the benefits to having those on the playground, and why they fit as far as the inclusivity and everything is concerned as well. So the roller slide, there's going to be various elements to each feature that make it beneficial to the kids, from sensory to motor to cognitive, to even the social aspect of it. LSI literally goes through a play benefit of every element that they have, and this being the roller slide, it really breaks into the vestibular and the proprioception and tactile and auditory systems. So when a kid is going down the slide, it's not just going down the slide, it's feeling the rollers going down the slide. It's the fact that the rollers are they're not metal, so they're not creating a static electricity, which if they have a cochlear implant could actually short out the cochlear implant, and then they would have to have it go reset. This is the depth that LSI goes to when it comes to designing these products.
And this one's great for, so it's plastic slides that can set off the static charge. Yes. That's okay. And this is for sensory processing disorders, which a lot of kids have. they really have to feel more. It matters to them to have that deep tissue muscle stimulation. And when they're when their body is stimulated, it actually stimulates their brain a little bit more. So this is almost like a wake up for your body. It really, and it's a postulation. So you're really building core and working on your postulation. And one of my favorite things about this slide is that children can slide together. That is truly the definition of inclusive. It's not, oh, this piece is for those kids and this piece is for the typically developing. No, this is something where everyone can play together. That's the true definition of inclusion. And when you talk to a mother who for the first time ever, she watched her son wait for a child, another a peer, to get up so that they could slide down together. And that was the first time that that child ever recognized a peer and waiting for a peer and playing with a peer. It's, it's an emotional situation for that mother. And so when you're able to go together, or an adult is able to take that child down and have enough room, and this is one of our, it's not a lot of piece, it's not a piece that is made by any of our competitors really, and maybe one, and I don't even remember who. And it is our most popular piece. It is a huge game changer for a lot of children.
So this is another element that came up on a couple of the kids' drawings, was they wanted a zip line. This is the LSI Zip Cruise. And the great thing about this element and this feature is the fact that it can, again, like Megan said, it can be adults with kids, it can be kids with kids, they can race, they create all these scenarios, to play together on these things, and they'll find the fun. That's the nice thing about kids. So we've got the pendulum seat, which could be one side, and then we could have the Zip Cruise Assist, which has the molded seat with the harness, and anybody can go on this and enjoy it, and they can go fast, and they can, race, and all of these different things that kids are constantly wanting to do. I've got a little bit of video here that'll break down a little bit more, so you can see kids enjoying this and how this works. They're cheering each other on, they're yelling, they're assisting, this young man's helping her, to get to that platform.
Good cooperative play. And for that Zip Cruise Assist, and because they're going on this particular page, school design that we did, it's side by side. So I, for instance, might need full postulation support. I don't have the trunk support to hold myself in. So now I have a full backed seat with a harness to keep me safe. And I can also play and zip along. And it's not just the typically developing kids that get all the fun. We all, we can all have fun. So here's a good example of it being side by side. And that's what we have on this design. It's the 2-bay, one pendulum seat and one full postulation seat. The nice thing too about our harness is that when it goes up so you can get in, it's not slamming down on your head. So it stays up until you physically put it down. Where you could see this if you wanted to, and I highly recommend that whoever is on this call or sees this, all of the playground equipment and the 3Ds are going to look fabulous, but it's really beneficial to go out and look at the equipment. You really wouldn't buy a car necessarily, maybe nowadays you would, without really touching and feeling it, really understanding, really checking it out. So Friendship Park at Roberts Field in Chelmsford is a great place to go check out our playground equipment. One of the pictures that Colin had showed was called Yentl Farms. That is in Wilmington, not super far from you guys. And then Colin, will you remind me, was it Pete's Park in Beverly?
Pete's Park in Beverly, yep.
Pete's Park in Beverly, that was the gentleman who, I believe his name was Pete Frates, and he was people know him as the Ice Bucket Challenge guy.
So again, another play benefit slide, just to briefly go over and compound on the things that we were discussing while the video was going on. This engages kids in so many different ways. It's not just one kid doing one thing. It's multi-directional. It's cooperative play. And that helps build social skills, and the imaginative play is really what stretches all of these features that we're proposing to the next level. Again, another one is going to be the Omni Spin Spinner. This is another one, super cooperative, very easy to transition into, and you get kids that are, on the inside and the kids on the outside, and they're running, they're pushing. So it's building up, they're engaging muscles. They're not even know that they're engaging, but spinning this with 4 or 5 kids inside, and just having a great time. It's kind of like the 2021 version of the merry-go-round. So they've gotten rid of those metal bars and that plywood base, and made it a lot safer so that when you're running, you don't fall and crack your head on the corner of a piece of plywood.
And you can put I've seen about 10 or 12 kids in this at the most, but there's those 4 opportunities for, again, a full seat should you need that postulation support.
So this is the Cozy Dome. Again, a lot of kids in here. It's great to get away from things as well. And that's one of the major benefits from it. Someone that wanted to get away from a lot of noise or a lot of kids could come in here. It also gives other kids the ability to climb over the top of it. The holes that are cut into this. So as this picture depicts, you can have kids inside, you can have kids on top. They can be different colors, and it can be used for more than just climbing. It can be used again to get away from the noise, to get away from the sun, just to have a second to yourself, to take a breath away from what could possibly be a loud playground. But again, it brings in all of that social development, and obviously the imaginations. Kids find spaces and create all sorts of scenarios between themselves, increasing your balance and your coordination, and the core upper and lower bodies, body strength, and then motor planning, obviously having to decide where you're going to put your hands, where you're going to put your feet, so that you can climb up over this.
And some of the holes are big enough that holes are either too small, or they're big enough to go through. So you can come in from the top and come into the tunnel from above.
So this is our We Saw, what you saw in the design. This is such an awesome product. Go back to the slide, actually, it's a better slide. So you've got 4 kids here in each of the seats, and you're going back and forth. You can have kids standing in the middle, you could have a kid sitting on either side, holding on to the bars, wrapped around. Very easy to transition into again, and you can really include everybody in this. And when that thing gets going, these kids get laughing. It's infectious. And again, it's one of those things that, again, they're not going to be realizing what they're doing. You can see all the kids that they have here. You got 6 kids right now, and then you've got some parents on the side as well helping out, and everybody's going to have an amazing time on this feature. It really does stretch the the flexibility and the balance for everybody. You've got the full seats, so again, the postulation, and children want that movement. They want to feel that up and down and front to back, and this really gives them the ability where the seats are they're large enough to accommodate myself and with my kids, or anybody with their kids. So you could have an adult on one side, or 2 adults on one side and kids on the other side, and everybody can go. So if the kids are going to the park with their grandparents or their caregivers or anything like that, it's not a situation where this park you'd have the parents sitting on a bench just watching the kids playing on typical playground equipment. They can actually be invested and engaged in this, which is also giving them probably a little bit more core workout, and upper body and lower body workout, which I know we could all use, especially after 2020 sitting at home. So it really does stretch beyond the means of just a playground for a school. This is one of the greatest features that LSI offers and that they've come up with, which is the WeGo swing. And this swing really gives the ability for anybody of any ability to be engaged in such an awesome feature on a playground, where in this picture you can see, you've got the young lady on the left, the young lady on the right there in the seat, and then you've got the gentleman in the middle, and he's having the time of his life. Everybody's laughing, the thing's swinging back and forth, and there's no transition necessary. So you can roll up, go behind that bar, put the bar down, and then everybody can enjoy.
And it's really finding those opportunities where you can't get, people talk about, oh, well, you can transition the child from their wheelchair to the piece of equipment. And that works a lot of times, but sometimes it doesn't work. And so finding those opportunities for a child to stay in their mobility device and enjoy the equipment like everyone else. This is another piece that is really groundbreaking. Nobody's come up with this swinging. So there's, so far we've shown you a lot of opportunities of different play senses. So you have rocking, spinning, swinging, and that's what we're really trying to do, is provide a lot of different experiences and not just sort of, oh, we provided 4 different elements that rock. I mean, rocking is great, but then there's the spinning, then there's the social, then there's the motor planning, climbing, and then there's the sliding. So it's really about providing lots of opportunities so that everyone has the ability to play, and multi-generations too. You may have a grandparent who's in a wheelchair and they really just want to enjoy time. It's, that's been a tough situation for the 65 plus, is they've really missed out on socializing with their grandchildren and their children. And so the playground is going to be a great opportunity for multi-generational get-togethers. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a child in the wheelchair. And the beauty of landscape structures is that anyone can be on this equipment. We have no limitations. Our stuff is built very, very, very well to accommodate anyone who's going to use the product.
Then if you remember from the slide showing our design proposal, you see a big sensory wall in the middle of the playground. And that has a couple of different elements in it that, again, engage the kids' senses, their touch, their feel, their touch, their sight, with colors, with moving parts, with sound, auditory. The young lady on the left is using the rain wall. So that's spinning, and it's got these beads in it that create this rain sound sense that really engages the kids. And then the gear wall on the right, with the butterflies on it, being able to move these things and spin these things and see everything working. There are various options from LSI as far as what can go in this sensory wall, and various colors and things as well. So a lot of that can be put together to really engage the kids. And these are elements, again, that somebody could walk up to or wheel up to and sit there and enjoy and affect these different things and create these sounds.
And in the mold of the actual piece, there's a lot of little tactile opportunities. So there are kids who are very tactile and they want to run their fingers and hands, and they feel a little, they need to feel a little deeper than maybe adults or maybe another child. So you have all these opportunities to sort of run your hand and feel, and sort of there's a bump out, there's a bump in. So it's concave, convex, and all these little ridges. And it's just a lot of tactile opportunities.
And then we have a couple of musical instruments, outdoor musical instruments that we've implemented into the design as well, from Rhapsody. A couple of these things, this is the drum, and this is a full-on drum. There are videos where people have put together using these instruments, actual like older musicians, well-versed musicians, creating music utilizing these elements. So it's not just something that the kids can hit on, and it makes no, it doesn't really change at all, depending on how they hit with their hand, where they hit on the drum. All of these instruments create range of different tones and, with the chimes and everything like that as well, really give you the ability to create music, and to learn and to listen and to change all of those things. And this gets kids playing together, with, the drums and everything next to each other, and the instruments next to each other. They can start to really develop their own music. So again, the overall scope from us, from Emmy O'Brien, from LSI, is that these kids get to play together. And that's really where the inclusive aspect of a playground needs to be at its core, is that these kids can all play together. And it's not just, as Megan said, it's not just one element for this kid. It's not just one element for that kid. It's as much as possible for everybody, and that's going to be, your physical accessibility. It's going to be age and developmentally appropriate. And then it's going to enrich all of the senses. And that's not just on the sensory wall, that's with movement and sight and color and, all of these things that, auditory, that get kids excited and invested in what they're doing. So going into color, again, I know I spoke about this briefly at the beginning. This is going to be a brief overview of just how extensive the LSI structures, LSI color research has gone. And, this is, again, curated by experts. There's 50 complementary color palettes and hundreds of other combinations. So all of these colors, you could create any combination of colors that you wanted to create your own palette, again, based on school colors or local colors. However, there are going to be these palettes that are together, that they will have the 2 or 3 colors that will complement each other, not just aesthetically, but more so to create this scope of the senses and everything like that, depending on what individuals could be going through, and not to instigate certain things that individuals could be going through. And it really is incredible how in depth they get into the color palettes. You don't want them to be dysregulating to any child or any individual with any sensitivities to color. This is a brief overview of the shades. We had 3 shades on the structures, again, to cover a whole slew of reasons. But keeping the kids out of direct sunlight, giving them a little bit of a break, or again, like Megan stated, an individual that is on a medication and needs to not be in direct sunlight, or has sensitivities to those types of things. These are going to be great breaks for them as well. And this is just a color palette from Skyways as far as the shades, what the color the shades could be.
Usually, so FR means fire rated, and usually that's an increased cost. All of ours are fire rated. It's just sort of the way we decided to go down the path, was that, it was just something that we felt like, why give the regular fabric when there's a little bit better of a fabric, and that's our standard. So it's pretty great material.
So I just want to be careful. We have 15 minutes left, and we want to
it.
keep the presentation to an hour to make it fair for the other 2 presenters today.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure we have time for questions, if that's possible.
Okay, not a problem. So briefly, I'll go over this. So the port in place surfacing, it's a unitary rubber surfacing. It is going to have different thicknesses based on the fall heights to keep the kids as safe as possible. I did touch upon that earlier, so I'll go over it briefly again. Based on a 12-inch fall height to a, up to a 96-inch fall height, depending on the heights of each feature, the ground below will be made thick enough with this unitary surfacing to absorb as much of the impact as possible, to keep the kids as safe as possible, and to keep those brains intact.
It's also a dream for maintenance.
Yes, exactly.
And we've been selling it since 1996. So it's not a new product. We have a ton of port in place rubber. And our company, the company we use, Surface America, is amazing. They have a 10-year warranty and they stick by it.
Yeah, and as Megan touched upon, as far as the maintenance of it, there's no raking the rubber back into the play area. It stays where it's supposed to be, where EWF or engineered wood fibers tends to get kicked around and gets thin in spots that, you know, as far as the maintenance of that is concerned, that it can be a nightmare depending on who you talk to, but the rubber surfacing stays intact and in place. And this was just a quote from the LSI site that I wanted to put on here. And, you know, overall, you know, this playground has many opportunities for play, and any child, regardless of their medical diagnosis, children will find their just right fit on the playground, as it is designed to support their physical, sensory, and cognitive needs, while it provides them with a world of fun to acquire new skills in all of these areas. It provides them with great space to work on their socialization, their self-esteem as they walk, run, roll, slide, climb, swing, and spin together at the Page School playground.
This playground that you sort of see the watermark of, that is Mayor Menino Park at the in Charlestown, which is a section of Boston, as you all know, and it's outside Spalding Rehab Center, and it's an amazing place.
And this is just a brief slide on the warranty.
Our warranty is amazing. We have the longest warranty, and we stand by it. And that really is the difference between a warranty. It's not prorated, which says, oh, in 2 years, you'd have to pay 30% of the list price. Ours is, it is what it is. It's set in terms of years, not lifetime limited. That is the biggest red flag ever. What does that mean? So we provide 100-year, 15-year, 10-year, 8-year. We're actually putting a year to it, and we're standing behind it. And lifetime limited is tricky. And there's actually it's defined by the Attorney General of every state, what that means. And it's sort of a little bit of smoke and mirrors in my view. That's it.
And that will do it.
Wayne, you're muted.
Nope.
Mute myself, trying to unmute myself here. One of the main questions I had, though, I just couldn't get off originally from when we were talking to you guys, was the installer. Do you guys do the installing yourself, or are you subcontracting installing out the equipment?
We have partnerships with certified installers, and they're landscape structure certified, and we work with a certified installer to put this in. So it does not technically come out of this office, but it is carried under our contract, and they're just an extension of us.
So it would still be a turnkey operation. That'd be one contract to do all.
Correct.
Okay. One of the questions that we've all been asking is about the put in place. We all know from what we've talked about is about how hot the surface is and how it could become over engineered wood fiber. Where this playground is, it's the windiest place and the sunniest place in town. It's windy 11 months a year, and it's really hot during the summertime. Even if you're on the grass, it's really, really hot. It's the weather beats the heck out of this place. So I just wondering what your opinion is on the put in place, and if money wasn't a problem or a restriction or anything, is the put in place the best option for this location, or would a hybrid mixed surface work better, knowing that it's already hot up there right now? If we go up there today on a 74-degree day, it's uncomfortable on a 74-degree day up there.
Sorry, I have a lawnmower guy outside my window.
Yeah, it's okay.
I will tell you that I have never in 23 years had someone say, I wish we hadn't done poured in place surfacing. It is too hot. We do a lot of this at daycares. There are children on hands and knees. It doesn't mean I would suggest going with all black. Yes, unfortunately, even sand, which is the lightest color, one of the lightest colors out there, is hot when it's hot out. Materials get hot, and but I can only speak from my experience, Wayne, and nobody comes back to me and says, oh my gosh, what did we do? It is burning the children. It does not happen. And there's a lot of playground sites. We use it all over urban areas too. And urban areas are hot by nature. This material is all over Boston. There's far less trees in Boston than there are in a lot of suburbs. And of course, as we know, you can have, greenhouse gases where it's just hotter there because you've got all that hardscape and all that man-made material. But truthfully, and to this day, nobody's ever said this is way too hot and the children are burning. I would say that it's really no different than if a plastic slide is hot in the summer, everything's kind of be hot, and that's just the way it goes. And sometimes you have to test it before you let your child on it. That's the exception of the roller slide. You will not have it ever be too hot on the roller slide because you have that tender tough coating on it, and it is not absorbing the heat. It's a very temperate, excellent surface. But I've never heard anyone say we could not go out it. We wish we'd never gotten this board in place.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Those shade structures, I assume those need to be removed for the winter, and how big a deal is that?
So everyone, if I would say to you, if you remove it for the winter, it's going to last you longer. However, Angus, nobody removes them because they don't have the staff, they don't have the ability to do it. So I have playgrounds that have been installed since 2005 and nobody's removed the shade. And that is the reality. I will tell you, if you remove that shade, that's great, store it for the winter, but it's a pain in the neck sometimes to remove, because really you don't have the staff and you're just, you're already strapped with your facilities as it is to go out and try and remember that you need to remove it come November and put it back up come April. It just doesn't happen. So both people keep them up and they last and they're great. And I have very, very, very few replacements. So maybe in my 10, 16 years of selling the shade fabric, I don't know, I've supplied a patch because a branch fell on it. So we provided like a star and they went up and they sort of sewed it in to the hole that was put in it. But I could give you a lot of examples of shade that nobody ever removed. And but it doesn't mean you can't remove it. And it probably would take two people maybe an hour to remove it and maybe an hour to put it back on.
This is Tim. I just had a follow-up question on that. Are the canopies also warranted like the other equipment?
Of course, yes.
Okay. And you may have mentioned it. I saw about you mentioned about the fire rating and everything. It looks like very robust material. So does this, the structure that they're on, is there like a wind speed rating associated with like the fabric and the structure and that?
There is. So there's a rating for when there's no fabric on it, and then which is pretty much, nothing's going to happen. So I think the wind speed rated, can Colin get back to you? I don't want to say the wrong thing, Tim, but maybe he can touch base with Wayne and Angus later on exactly what that rating is. Because I think if you've got a major hurricane coming, I can tell you that the one, it was not OBrien and Sons, it was our colleagues who are down in the Louisiana area. Nobody removed it for Hurricane Katrina. And our rep down there took a picture of it and there it was still sitting up. So that could have been just the particular site. I don't know. But we've had really good luck, and but I'll let him get back to you guys on exactly what that is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Trish,
And
you
we
got
can
any
go-
questions?
We have other roofs as well, just so you know. If you guys got really nervous about those roofs, we have plenty of other steel and recycled
Mhm.
plastic roofs.
Anybody else? We have 2 minutes to wrap it up. Again, thanks for coming out. We're going to take comments from the community over the next couple of weeks because we did record this this interview here. We're going to hear back from them, and then we'll reconvene at the end of the month and discuss the comments we received back to the community and staff. And the selection committee will choose a designer, hopefully at the end of the month or beginning of June, and get back to you on who we like to choose. This has been great. We've learned a lot just today, talking to everybody. So I think that's it. It's 5 o'clock. That's 1 hour for everybody. So we treat everybody fair. Obviously, you know how to reach out to us if you have to get in touch with us for anything else. But other than that, we'll get in touch with you once we find out who we want to choose.
We appreciate it. Thank you
Great.
for the opportunity.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Enjoy the
Thanks for
day.
all we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
you.
Take care, guys.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
All right.